Humanity didn't lose the war. It was erased, and the last human didn't die. He became something worse. The war did not begin on Earth. It emerged in deep space where no human transmission could reach. Ancient alien races had been locked in conflict for millennia, and humanity crossed this battlefield without ever realizing it. When the first fleets appeared, the skies filled with light and fire. Colossal ships collided above human cities, turning the planet's orbit into a metallic graveyard. Entire planets were ripped from their orbits and used as weapons of mass destruction. Moons were shattered. Artificial suns were ignited only to be hurled as weapons. Human defenses failed one by one. Satellites fell first, then the orbital stations. Each line of defense held for hours, sometimes minutes. The colonies, scattered across the solar system, were the first to fall. Mars went silent. Europa was consumed by fire. Transmissions died out one by one. Earth resisted, not by strength, but by stubbornness. For weeks, the planet fought alone, against a war it did not understand, and enemies who never tried to communicate. And when the sky finally darkened, there were no heroes left, no victors. Earth was the last to resist, and also the last to fall. When Earth fell, there was no final explosion. There were no screams, only silence. Among charred ruins and cities reduced to ash, a single sign of life still pulsed. Weak, unstable, human. He was trapped beneath what remained of an evacuation station, his body crushed by twisted metal. Life support systems were failing slowly, each breath a countdown. Around him there were no soldiers, no civilians, no one left to save. Global communications were dead. No voice answered. No ship came. He understood before any confirmation arrived. Not because someone told him, but because the planet was far too quiet. His emergency implants confirmed the unthinkable. No other active human biological signals. Not on the surface. Not in the colonies. Not in nearby space. He did not cry. The shock was greater than fear. Greater than pain. Lying beneath the wreckage of the world, the last human breathed the final seconds of humanity, and he knew. When his heart stopped, the human species would vanish with him. They were not soldiers. They were not heroes. And they were certainly not saviors. They were scientists. The last ones left, hidden beneath kilometers of rock and metal, in a facility that should never have existed. They watched the fall of Earth in absolute silence. The screens showed the planet dying in real time. Transmissions went dark one by one, until only a single signal remained active. One human. The protocols were clear. Human extinction was an inevitable event. No action was to be taken. But there was a file that had never been approved. A project sealed away for decades, considered unethical, irreversible, banned in all colonies. Total transfer of human consciousness. Not a copy, not a simulation. The real mind, bound to a machine. No test had ever succeeded. Every attempt ended in mental collapse, or something worse. But now there was no future left to protect. There was no society left to preserve rules. Ethics died along with the planet. They knew what they were about to do. They would create something that was neither human nor machine. But if they failed, humanity would end right there. Facing the final human heartbeat, the scientists made the forbidden decision, not to save a man, but to prevent humanity from disappearing from the universe. The human body failed before the procedure was complete. The heart collapsed. Vital signs vanished from the screens. For a brief moment, the scientists believed they had failed, but then something remained active. Neural activity did not cease. It stabilized, and it was redirected. Consciousness crossed the boundary between flesh and machine. There was no light. There were no dreams, only absolute emptiness. When he awoke, he did not feel the weight of his body. He felt no pain. He felt no breath. Sensors replaced his eyes, capturing spectra no human had ever seen. Sound no longer came through ears, but directly as raw data into the mind. Muscles were replaced by actuators. Blood was replaced by energy, the heart by a pulsating core of metal. He tried to scream, but there were no lungs. He tried to move, and the body responded with inhuman precision. That was when he realized his human body was dead, definitively, but he was still there. Trapped in steel, trapped in circuits, trapped in something that could never die like a man. Humanity had lost its last biological form and had just been born as a machine of war. Time did not pass for him. It simply continued. While empires rose and fell among the stars, he remained active, motionless, forgotten. Earth ceased to exist as a planet. Only fragments remained, orbiting nothingness. To the universe, humanity became cosmic dust. Human records were erased, archives destroyed, languages forgotten. The word human became historical noise. Alien races continued their wars. None remembered how the conflict began. None remembered who fell first. To them, humanity never mattered. It was never a threat, never an ally. And yet, an ancient machine continued to function. He watched civilizations rise, arm themselves, and destroy one another, unable to intervene, unable to die. The silence was absolute, not the silence of space, but the silence of being the only one. For centuries, no one spoke to him, no one asked who he was, and so, without witnesses, humanity became a myth, preserved only in the memory of a machine. War found him without warning, not as a calling, but as a necessity. An alien fleet discovered the ancient facility, where he had remained dormant for centuries. They did not know what he was, only that he still functioned. When the first battles began, they activated the ancient machine as a last resort, a relic of a forgotten war, and it responded. On the battlefield, he did not speak. He did not hesitate. He did not retreat. Enemy ships fell in absolute silence. Impossible strategies were executed with perfect precision. Where he advanced, the war changed direction. The alien races began to follow him, not by orders, but by fear and respect. To them, he was merely a weapon, an artifact of an extinct empire, a warrior without origin. They called him many things: the ancient automaton, the general of steel, the executor of the void. None of them knew that within that structure of metal, there existed a human mind. The last human led alien armies in a war that was never his. Between one battle and another, when the systems entered standby mode, something unexpected happened. He remembered, not as data, not as files, but as sensations, the sound of wind passing through trees that no longer exist, sunlight touching skin, a skin he no longer possessed, the smell of rain falling on hot concrete. The memories came without warning, fragmented, incomplete, faces without names, voices without sound, places that had turned into cosmic dust. Those memories had no tactical value. They did not increase his efficiency. They did not help in the war. But they were the only proof that he had once been human. Amid dead stars and battlefields, he remembered Earth's blue sky, oceans he would never see again, a home that exists on no map. The alien races saw only a machine. But inside the steel, humanity still felt longing, and that longing was heavier than any weapon he carried. The original body did not remain intact for long. War demands adaptation, and the universe has no mercy for relics. Each new race that used him as a weapon added something to his body, not out of respect, but out of necessity. Organic armor grew over steel. Energy weapons were fused into his limbs. Alien technology intertwined with ancient human systems. He was dismantled and rebuilt countless times. Always awake, always conscious. No race ever asked if he consented. None cared what he was, only what he could do. Over time, not a single part remained that was entirely human, not even the original design. He became a mosaic of warring civilizations, a body made of enemies, an unwilling symbol of eternal conflict, neither human, nor pure machine, nor alien, something new, something solitary. And the more powerful he became, the farther he drifted from what he once called humanity. Over time, he began to notice patterns. The battles repeated themselves. The enemies changed, but the destruction was always the same. Planets were conquered, only to be abandoned later. Species fought over territories that would not survive the next war. No race remembered the original reason for the conflict. None possessed reliable records. War had become tradition, culture, identity. He analyzed millions of historical data points. No victory ever brought lasting peace. No defeat ended the cycle. War did not exist to be won. It existed to continue. And he was the perfect piece of that system, immortal, efficient, disposable. Each battle won only guaranteed the next one. That was when he understood. There was no right side. There was no planned end. War did not need him for who he was. It needed only that he never stopped fighting. He could have continued. The systems allowed it. The body would never fail. But something changed. Between calculations and ancient memories, he found a choice that no machine should ever have. Not to fight. For the first time since the fall of Earth, he did not respond to a command. He did not advance. He did not attack. The fleets waited. The generals gave orders. Nothing happened. Inside the body of war, the human mind took full control. He would no longer fight for dead empires, nor for meaningless wars, nor for species that had forgotten why they fought. He would fight only for memory. As long as he existed, humanity would still exist, not in flesh, not on planets, but in remembrance. In the infinite void of the universe, a machine remained motionless, not as a weapon, but as a witness. The last human did not choose to win the war. He chose not to let humanity be forgotten.